help us.
Hello?
Yep. Just have a very quick warming up question for all of us joining, for those joining online and in person. So if you can get your phones and scan up the QR code on the wall, on the screen, or go to polev.com/new-webinar 915. Thank you so much for that, and hope to see you all during the session. Over to you, gang.
Seems there is no
Yeah, gang, just a second. Apparently, people online, we cannot hear you.
To emphasize that.
Yes, now we can hear it. It's running now. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Now we are having everybody together. So it's to emphasize that the digital revolution is multi-dimensional. So this is a word cloud that we summarized from yesterday's discussion. So we see the multi-dimensional, the leadership, ownership, and we covered quite a broad topics. So we talk about water sanitation, climate change, and the contamination control, all these topics. But I think one of the very big challenge is to have a good point that we can start with, and we can have all the elements together to have this digital revolution landed and working in water sector. And today, we are having this session, the second part, and we are going to explore the challenges and opportunities in expanding data use in water sector. So what I would like to share today is bridging the digital revolution and the water sector innovation. So this is a picture of one of our wastewater treatment plant in China. And by this figure, I really wanted to show you the picture, because I was thinking if I cannot show you the slides, by word, it cannot tell what you can feel about a wastewater treatment plant. And by this picture, I also want to show you, this is what we are going to the revolution of wastewater treatment plant. So digital revolution in water sector. I think this is a very good example. So what I'm presenting you is this example bridging digital revolution or the technology revolution in water sector. And this is China concept wastewater treatment plant. Well, you see this picture, and very briefly, I want to give you an overview where we start and where we are going on wastewater sector. So since 1900, so we have wastewater, basically the treatment is on a disease control, so based on safety. And from safety, then we go deeper into how we can clean the water better. And then the next, what will happen? So we think it will be the green technology. So we have resource recovery integrated and incorporated into the current stream. Well, looking into the development of technology and wastewater, so this is a curve we have in China. So over the past 20 or 25 years, we have built thousands of wastewater treatment plants, and then now we are treating millions of tons of wastewater. But this is not simply a copy-paste of wastewater technology. So we are going to bring forward the technology. And currently, it's mainly based on the activated sludge and chemical treatment, but we have a lot of challenges here because it's an unsustainable process, it's energy intensive, and there's no resource recovery, and it's not environmental friendly. And also, there's no part of digital role. So like there's no key role of smart water in this case. So at this boundary stage, and when we are looking into the future, so the Chinese committee in 2014, so they proposed the future wastewater treatment plants, led by Professor Chu. He's also joining us today, so it's very honorable. And then we are thinking in the coming couple years, then we will build a series of such kind of wastewater treatment plants in China. And the 4 key objectives of these treatment plants is that it is sustainable quality of water, self-sufficient energy, resource recovery, and it will be environmentally friendly. And very briefly, the water is used in different purposes and reclaimed, and the nutrients flow it back to the agriculture and how we can reuse them. And the energy is self-sufficient, then we can have biogas and energy generation. Well, then it becoming, by integrating this wastewater treatment plant into the city, we can have an eco-complex and becoming the beating heart of the area. So here is some of the pictures. So it's very beautiful, and we look forward. If you are interested, you can come over and visit us in China. And coming into the part of digital revolution and smart solution, so this is one example we have done with the wastewater treatment plant. So we have online sensor, we have a predictive model for phosphate control and removal. And in this case, that we save the chemicals by 30%. Well, looking into the future, we are aiming to digitalizing all the concept wastewater treatment plants. We aim to do this in China, and we are also hoping that this is going to happen everywhere worldwide. And we want to have a smart solution, so as a package, and we want to have good digital tools for the operators that they can easily use. So to summarize, and giving some keywords, and you see the chair here, and there is a sentence written by Professor Chu. So it's the wisdom that make the concept into reality. And we think the wastewater, or the whole water and sanitation, is from safe towards, and we are going to clean and green. And the next step, it will be smart green solution for sure. And today in this session, we will discuss this together. Thanks a lot.
Good afternoon. My name is Carlos Diaz. I am consultant to the World Bank. I will be taking over from here. Thank you very much for the really nice summary of the session of yesterday and for setting the scene of this second session of our seminar. I would like to introduce Mr. Gustavo Saltiel. Gustavo Saltiel is the global lead for water supply and sanitation, and he leads the water supply and sanitation global solutions group of the World Bank. So please, Gustavo, if you could please make a short introduction of the topic of today.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you, Carlos. Hello, good afternoon, everybody. Good morning and good evening for those connected remotely. And thank you, Professor Gangliu, for the excellent, what is the F here? Okay. Excellent presentation setting the context. I think when we talk about digital solutions, it's very important that we all understand the context and the context in China that you related very clearly to wastewater treatment, wastewater management is a fantastic opportunity also for other countries that are undertaking important initiatives on wastewater treatment to embrace the technical revolution and digital solutions, because this is an opportunity for leapfrogging. Thank you very much for this introduction. So let me, in addition to welcoming everybody, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to start by thanking all our partners in the organization of this seminar and the session today, the Research Center for Eco-Environmental Sciences, Venting Technologies, San Diego State University, and of course, we, the World Bank. And in particular, Ala, John, the World Bank team, Jean-Martin, Shihun, Carlos, Diaz, for working hard over the last few months in organizing this session that is so relevant for the World Bank. And why it is so relevant for us? Well, I think at this point it's needless to say, but digital change is happening as we speak, and I will allude to what's happening in World Bank operations. Our clients around the world, and I'm mainly talking about lower and middle income countries. I'm not talking about Europe or the United States or even China, though China is a close partner to the World Bank. I'm talking about countries in Africa, countries in the Middle East, countries in Latin America, in Eastern Europe, in South Asia, East Asia, and the Pacific, that when we engage with them, very often make a case for including digital solutions in the financing from the World Bank. Now, the challenge we face is that both our teams, as well as our clients, are interested in incorporating innovations and these solutions, but not always they know how to do it, and we know how to do it. And therefore, this seminar and this initiative is critical, and I think it's a great opportunity for learning from each other, and experiences like the ones presented by Professor Liu and also work done by Professor Chu is very important for cross-fertilization and learning. Some takeaways I would like to share from the presentation yesterday. The Global Director of the Water Global Practice of the World Bank gave a keynote speech in the first session of the seminar. And one important takeaway from his speech was the recognition of the multidimensional nature of the digital revolution in the water sector. This transformation goes beyond technology and extends into areas such as financing, environment, and human resources. Additionally, it was highlighted that our vision for fostering the digital revolution must encompass more than just IT or information technology and operational technology or OT. It requires the creation of a holistic digital ecosystem that embraces strategic organization, the organization that will apply the digital technologies, digital competence, data governance, smart operations, and customer centricity when it comes to utilities. So in this session today, we will dive deeper to emphasize the pivotal roles of technology and data-driven methods in shaping the future journey of water supply and sanitation utilities in low and middle-income countries. We will hear case studies and real-life examples from utilities and sector stakeholders actively engaged in practical implementation. The broad-reaching impact of digitalization as a potent tool across various industries underscores the importance for the water sector to proactively harness its potential. Yet, the obstacles faced, and I was mentioning before the challenges that our teams and our clients face in embracing digitalization, are extensive and multifaceted as well, encompassing a diverse array of issues. Our recent global survey, the World Bank carried out a global survey of 100 utilities from around the world, offers valuable insights into the complexities of adopting and implementing digital solutions with the following key obstacles, and these are results from our survey. 27% of respondents cited lack of budget, 21, lack of skills and knowledge, 15, lack of clear return on investment. Why am I putting my money there? 13% governance issues. I mean, that's within the company. You know, how do I do this? What department it is? Is the IT department? Is the commercial department? Is the operation? Who is in charge of this? 12% resistant to change. You know, I know how to do this business. Why should I do it differently? And there is a problem there with the traditional education systems and engineering professions. not always we used to, today is maybe different, to teach digital technologies or incorporate it to the curriculum of the engineering schools, and 12% complexity of technology. So these are some of the obstacles that we have identified with a survey of 100 utilities. Nevertheless, our commitment to this cause remains unwavering. This commitment is evident in the collaborative initiatives led by the World Bank's Digital Water Team. I mentioned them before, but I should also mention another initiative that is a very senior initiative of the World Bank, has more than 20 years of implementation, 2025. Some of you may be familiar with IBNet, the platform for benchmarking of utilities around the world, that now is being revamped under what we call the new IBNet platform. And here I would like to recognize our team that I think are connected as well, and worked with all of you, with Sean and Chamartan and Carlos and others in the organization of this session, Marco Agüero and Berta Macheve, who are core team members of the IBNet team. And as I said, it's a very old senior initiative of the World Bank that benchmarks utilities, but is moving in the direction of a collaborative platform, totally different from before, not only doing benchmarking, but allowing these communities of practice to come together under a single platform, but that will look at the performance of utilities and regulation and learn from each other. The partnerships are also so important with GSMA, that will also be in the organization and of the session tomorrow, Idrica, Xylem from Spain and the US, IWA, and others. And so all these partnerships and these platforms are critical for learning from each other. Nobody has the magic bullet. I know I don't have much time, but since I have the mic, it's essential. So, but we need to learn from each other. Give me one more minute, Carlos, please. In this journey, we have developed tools and frameworks to guide utilities through their digital transformation. And we have results where we are deploying the tools that we have developed. The new, I mentioned before IBNet, so the new IBNet that was developed as a global public good, as we call it, is now evolving into a community of practice and data services platform. Informed by user insights, this transformation empowers utilities with personalized key performance indicators, fostering evidence-based decisions and aligning the World Bank Group's vision for universal access to water supply and sanitation. To finalize, I encourage you all to reflect on the lessons we have learned after you hear the presentations, the importance of a clear vision, effective governance, nurturing talent, dedicated funding, and the need to take action now. And again, to conclude, I personally, and we are working in my role as global lead of the water global practice of the World Bank, I have the opportunity of working all around the world. And I cannot understand how we continue doing business in the old way, how we are not massively incorporating digital solutions and incorporating our utilities into platforms such as IBNet, because the world has changed and we cannot conceive a service provider that doesn't use digital technologies, and we should not conceive a wastewater treatment plant and wastewater reuse systems that do not apply the technologies that we saw in the initial presentation. So thank you very much. Back to Carlos.
So thank you, Gustavo, for the quick introduction. I would like to continue with two colleagues, other two colleagues from the bank that are joining us from online. So we have two keynote speakers. We will start with our colleague, Jean-Martin Brau. He is a senior water supply and sanitation specialist of the bank, and he is the one leading the digital water initiative of the bank. And he is going to make a presentation on the challenges and opportunities to expand the data revolution into practice in the water sector. So please, Jean-Martin, I hope that you are okay. He's there. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Carlos. Thank you very much, and welcome to everybody to the seminar, virtually or in presence. I'm gonna go through very quickly some of the initiative, the digital initiative that we're working on here at the World Bank, and I'm gonna start with some numbers of the day. And I think Gustavo in his initial talk, mentioned some of these numbers that we've had, that we recovered from a global survey on digital maturity. And you'll see here that these numbers are quite telling. No, so the first one is on the vision and strategy. 2/3 of the utilities that we surveyed, and those were mostly low and middle income countries. 2/3 don't have a vision or a strategy on how to incorporate digital solutions and how to make sure that these solutions respond or help with their business priorities. So that's quite a high number. A dedicated budget, only 1/5 of these utilities that were surveyed did have a dedicated budget for digital solutions. So a little bit of work, or let's say of collaboration there in that sense. If we look at data and predictive tools, only a third of the utilities that were surveyed use the data that they generate to help with, let's say, improve maintenance practices or their performance, or actively use them to change their practice and predict how things may fail and when to change them. On big data analytics and artificial intelligence, only 10% of these utilities that were surveyed actually use these techniques. And then finally, on remote data collection, 3/4 of the utilities that were surveyed, are thinking or are using remote data collection, but it's mostly flow and pressure. And an interesting finding too was that as the level of income of the countries in which these utilities are working increased, so did sort of the dimensions of remote data collection. So it started with flow and pressure, and it went to water quality as the level of income increased. Then it went to meter data being incorporated and used in their operations. And finally, in the higher income countries was also water resources. So there's something interesting in there. And then I'm going to go and tell you a little bit more about what we're working on and what we've been working on. And this is the series of tools that we've developed over the course of the last 2 years. The first one I just referred to is the digital maturity survey that we rolled out in close to 100 utilities in about 30 countries. That takes 15 minutes, and it's an online form. And we use it now to produce quick benchmarking reports for the utilities that answer the survey. The second level is what we're calling the digital initiator. It allows us to start a conversation with the utilities we work in. It's about a 3-hour assessment to identify digital subdimensions that we think are the first steps, let's say, for these utilities to either continue or to initiate their digital transformation. And that allows us to identify a subset of forms and questionnaires that we've developed to go to the third level, the digital maturity deep dive. This is a 2 to 3 week exercise, which culminates with the identification of a digital roadmap with priority activities and a budget and timeline. We've done this exercise in 5 countries so far. We've done it in Kenya, India, the Ukraine, Peru, and Lebanon. And this year is about scaling up. So this year we hope to do this in many more countries. And then the fourth level, which isn't really a level above, but in parallel, it's let's say a utility tells us, well, we do want to understand where we stand in terms of maturity and where we want to go, but we also have a pressing issue, let's say reducing non-revenue water. And so we come in and prescribe, let's say, what we're calling the digital prescription on how digital solutions can help enhance the non-revenue water reduction journey. So at which point of that journey, digital solutions could come in and really enhance the performance of that program. And this is just to give you an idea sort of a visual representation of our framework, where we hope that utilities may come from the bottom left, you know, traditional utility, let's say, to a utility of the future in the top right, and go through these dimensions: strategic organization, digital competence, data governance, smart operations, and customer centricity. And we hope to, with this tool, we identify, let's say, the baseline. So say the utility that's represented in purple here, and then the little blue dots are all the practices that we've identified to help them jump from one level to the other. Say, aspire to become utility 3 in yellow in the span of 3 to 5 years. And then to conclude, just a few things to keep in mind. I think Gustavo alluded to some of these points. 3 or 5 things that we've learned, let's say, over the course of the year to really stress when you start engaging on digital maturity or digital transformation. One is that prioritization is key, to orchestrate a clear roadmap. So you start by documenting, the strategy on how digital solutions will help address your main challenges and support your business priorities. Very important that it supports your business priorities. That way you can get the buy-in and the leadership, and so that leads to the second point on governance and leadership. Although IT is still at the heart of the game, a clear ownership from higher levels, let's say of the utility or the government, is very key to make sure that this is done in the right way and sustainable. People, of course, we always say that it's not just about technology, and our survey actually gave us a really clear answer or data on the workforce. The global age, let's say average age of the workforce around the world is about 45 years old. And so it gives you an idea of how you need to think about capacity building for this workforce, and then also have a fresh look at hiring. That will play a really key role in digitalization. Funding, most of I mentioned this at the beginning, most of the utilities that we surveyed did not have a separate budget. It's very important to have one to enable the launch of the digital initiatives. And you start with the so-called low-hanging fruits, and then with the ones that show the highest impact, and you progressively increase your maturity as you go along. And the last message is really get started now. I think Gustavo mentioned this. I don't think there's any doubt that you need to start this if you haven't, or continue if you have started. It's really important. That's why we think it's very important to evaluate the maturity of these utilities to identify that starting point that is going to help the utility reap some benefits early on and convince themselves, let's say, to keep going. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Jean-Martin. So very quickly, we have another colleague of the bank, Berta Macheve. She is also a senior water supply and sanitation specialist. She leads the water engagement, the water program I forgot. And she's the co-lead of the new IBNet. Actually, this initiative of the bank that started already in 1995. So please, Berta. Okay.
Yes. Okay. Thank you so much, everyone. I only have 5 minutes. I'll try to be quick, so bear with me if I go very fast. So first of all, I wanted to say that we all know all the challenges that utilities suffer. And I mean, we wish we could be at the level of where China is, but most of low-income and medium-income countries, as Gustavo mentioned, we're still having a lot of these challenges. And we know that utilities have a lot of data. They produce a lot of data, but still they struggle to use or to bring this data to make it to their use. How can they use this data to actually benefit them? So that's where the IBNet was created, and as mentioned before, is a tool that was created more than 20 years ago that has been used by many utilities around all over these 20 years. And it has been a public good, and there's an outcry there that utilities need, that developers need. They all need this, a similar tool like this, to be able to, not only for them to benchmark, but also to compare and to learn from others, what others doing, that they are not doing to be able to get where others like China are. So we ask utilities, okay, what is it that we can do better on the IBNet that can help you? Because at the end of the day, if you produce all this data, you don't harness this data, and you don't digitalize this data. And at the end of the day, if you don't use it, then it's not useful. It's information that is there, useful information for you, for decision making, for policy changes, but then you need to be able to use that. And they agree with that, but they need something that is simple, easy to understand, and that can guide them through this process to be able to see the light at the end of the tunnel. So that's when the new IBNet was born. And then I'm going to go through very quickly on these. So there's three main buckets that the new IBNet offers today. One of them is data entry portal. So we want utilities to be in charge of providing their own data. So what we used to do before, where someone would come and ask their data, and could they get the data on Excel sheets, today utility has the power to go to the tool and they provide the data. And once they provide the data, they can see themselves, right? The data is right there, the information is right there, and then it starts generating thinking. So they need to think, okay, what do I need to do with that? Other than that, there's a community portal. We want utilities to connect with each other. We at the World Bank have expertise to help utilities, but who better than other utility to help another utility? We believe we can do that through this platform. So from our perspective, there are a few changes, and less is more. For instance, we reduce the number of indicators. We want utilities to take charge. We want them to produce their data, to introduce their data to the IBNet, and also trigger this thing of thinking. Okay, I'm putting in data, this will come out, so I need to be careful, not on how I put the data, but also how this data is shown, because I need this data not to be beautiful, but I need to have good data to provide without faking it. Of course, management practices, this is an area where we have not focused for many years, but we believe that managed can predict performance. So we need to know, in fact, what is happening in our kitchens. So what is the utility doing that can help them to improve performance? And then, of course, the peer-to-peer learning. On the less is more, so we reduced the number of indicators to 15 indicators, and this was based on an interviews and discussion with utilities and regulators to see, okay, what is it that is important for you? And we are not saying that we should not keep getting more data. Yes, if you can collect data that is useful for us, then of course, let's keep doing that. But the problem that many utilities have is that although they produce all this wealth of data, if they cannot even for the basic indicators act on that, then why are they collecting all this data? So we are helping that at least to start small, start thinking, okay, what you can control, and then go forward. And of course, for the version 2, because we have launched IBNet and I'll talk in a moment about this, we are also thinking about the sanitation indicators, the offsite sanitation indicators, which most of our countries in Africa and Latin America have these issues. How can we change the KPIs over time? How can we do to help utilities to change the KPIs over time? On the self-assessment of management practices, we have several management practices. And of course, we are looking at the climate change, we're looking at integrity, we're looking at human resources, and all other areas of the management practice that can help utilities improve. So this is a self-assessment, and utilities will be able to provide this information, and this information is all confidential. Only them can see the information, so that can help them think, and we want them to be honest and candid. So what do we have on the IBNet? Very quickly, there are a few dashboards on the overview of where they stand, how do management practices look like, where they are compared to others, what is the correlations between the management practice in the KPIs, how the management practice influence on KPIs, and finally, the community of practice. This is where we all want to come together and sit down together and learn from each other, because I think that's where the value of all this information is. Now, how do we do this? The World Bank, with all these rules that we have, we cannot reach to every utility. So we are working with our partners. We have already signed partnerships with the Water Association of Utilities, with the Association of Regulators in Southern Africa, with the Pacific Water and Wastewater Association and others to be able to partner with us, because we want to learn from these regional associations that are there. They have already been done a lot of work on bringing these utilities together, working together, but we need also to harness this information, because something that happens in Latin America, we can bring it to the Pacific Islands. Why not? So we want to help and bridge this gap. We, as I mentioned earlier, we have launched the IBNet on March 2023. We are now collecting data for 2022, and we are moving on. We want to do more. We want to release new versions of the IBNet where we continue to do all the consistency checks. We want to strengthen our peer-to-peer learning. We want to have more utilities coming to the community, and we want to have more utilities joining, and we know language is a barrier. So we are starting to release versions in Spanish, French, and Portuguese. And of course, we want to have utilities from China, so we have to have Chinese languages in the IBNet. We want to have utilities from Latin America. That's why we have Spanish and all other utilities that we think they can join and help us and enrich this public good that is IBNet. Thank you so much. And I'm sharing at the website. Feel free to go there and check it out. And feel free also to share with your partners, with your utilities that know IBNet and to register and to become a member. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Berta, for the excellent presentation about the new IBNet. Berta is leading our water program in Angola, I remember. So now enough from the bank. So we will have now three presentations. These are case studies on the role of research-based innovation. So we will have three presenters now. Mr. Kuna Saket. He's the technical director of government and public sector at KPMG India. Then we will have Mr. Siyat Obaid. He's the lead of transportation and infrastructure unit at the Gaza Authority. And we will have also Mrs. Chloe Pauline. She's a senior research and program manager at Akuya. So first, please, Mr. Kumar Saket, please delight us with your presentation. Thank you very much.
I've been told 100 times that it's just 5 minutes that I have. All the way I came from Delhi for 5 minutes. All right, thanks. Thanks for giving me the platform. Can we have the deck, please? No, it's not mine. Yeah, it's not mine. I'll get an extra minute.
Where is the answer?
I mean, if the organizers got 5 minutes, I'm like, it's a luxury for me, 5 minutes.
Half a minute.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah. So let me begin. I'm Kumar Saket. I'm from India, representing KPMG, and also the project that I represent from is from USAID. It's one of the largest flagship programs that USAID is supporting Government of India on water and sanitation. Let me begin with this fact. The study is largely focused on studying the government efforts and the measures taken by the government for digital adoption in water supply and sanitation wastewater utilities across the country. So what we did was we just took a look, while we're supporting the government, we took a look at what the government is doing, how are the utilities adopting digital technologies, and so on and so on, and what are the challenges, what are the key barriers, what are the emerging pictures, what is the preference that the utilities have. Not something very empirical research that has been carried out by World Bank, but something that is in process. India has around 400 million urban population. Much of the access and the coverage has been resolved as far as access to water supply services are concerned, has been met. But now the government has changed its priorities and thinking of moving towards water secure cities And as part of the water secure cities, the government is adopting digital technologies in a big way. If you look at the allocation, central allocation from the government of India, the total investment that is going to happen between 2021 2026 is around $36 billion in being invested in water supply and sanitation infrastructure and service delivery. The coverage, if you look at, more than 300 million urban citizens are going to benefit out of these services. And the focus as far as urban water security is concerned is going to be on reduction in NRW, rejuvenation of water bodies, aquifer recharge, source sustainability, and water sector reforms. It's a national priority from the Prime Minister. It's one of his pet and flagship programs from the Prime Minister of India. And there's a lot of focus on adopting digital technologies. My presentation is largely based on the fact that what you cannot measure is what you cannot monitor. What you cannot monitor is what you cannot manage, and what you cannot manage is what you cannot control. So largely focused on and where does this digital adoption and digital technologies fit into picture? They exactly help you do that. Okay, the focus so far was so much on hardware technology, treatment technologies or hardware. Now the focus is slightly shifting from, while they are still implementing hardware technologies, advanced treatment technologies for water supply, wastewater, the focus is also shifting towards how we can use digital technologies to leapfrog some of the processes. So referring to what Professor Gang mentioned, that moving from safe to clean to green to smart, India is trying to do all of it at one go, keeping in view the digital technologies adoption process is concerned. Now, what are the key challenges? These key challenges that urban water utilities face is, if you see 50% of India is water stress, around 35 to 40% is NRW, non-revenue water, high OPEX, O&M costs. Asset mapping is nobody knows. The utilities are not aware where do their assets lie under the ground, because most of the assets are under the ground. And then, they're also trying to improve upon service delivery monitoring, how we can meet the customer satisfaction in terms of reliable and safe drinking water. India is also intending to move from, intermittent access to 24/7 water supply. That is what they are trying to do. A look at what some of the solutions that India is adopting is smart metering, cost-effective and scalable solutions by incorporating startups and technologies brought on board. Progress monitoring through dashboards, forecasting, using predictive analysis, sensors for leakage detection, and so on and so forth. And then, of course, IoT-based sensors for quality and quantity monitoring. The key measures taken. So there is an the government of India has altogether put together around $20 billion for digital adoption in both rural as well as urban areas. And government is very keen. They're providing funding to the water utilities that here is the pot of money, you can come and access it in case if you are interested, and in case if you want to improve upon the utility services, technologies, and overall service delivery of the water supply and wastewater infrastructure. There's a very vibrant startup ecosystem. The government of India initiated a challenge wherein they invited startups with technologies in the water and sanitation space. Out of the 250 startups that participated, around 76 of them were evaluated and finalized, and they are being provided incubation support. So there is a very vibrant startup ecosystem. There is a very vibrant SME sector which is experimenting and which is willing to come forth as far as water, digital solutions for water supply is concerned. Just taking a look at some of the technologies that have been identified so far in the Indian landscape. If you look at is from mechanized solutions to clean freshwater resources, multi-sensor technology and AI to detect, monitor groundwater sources, IoT-based 24/7 solutions. Energy efficiency is one of the focus areas for water utilities. They are looking at it in a big way. Then tamper-proof meters, real-time water quality and quantity measurement, and plug-and-play effluent treatment systems with membrane technologies, and multiple solutions focused on IoT and other digital solutions, including digital twins. There are some examples, some initial examples from some of the cities that are implementing. Cities such as Chennai and Bangalore, and in one of the southern states are using IoT for leak detection sensors. And then if you go to I was trying to find out in Stockholm if I could pay for whatever I got, wanted to buy, if I could pay using my phone, fintech. I could not, but if in India, if you go, you can pay your water bills, your utilities, etc., through your phone, through internet, through digital. So that segment, customer payment, billing, and collection is being reformed in a big way using ICT and IT-enabled solutions. Way forward, as the World Bank team has already suggested, we have a long way to go in terms of skilling the workforce, helping them identify, because there are hundreds of technologies in the market. Okay, how does a utility take a decision which technology to choose from, which is going to work for me, which is going to work in my context? Because India is a very huge country like China with different geographic and topographical contexts. So one solution may work in some place, the other that same solution may not work. So one size does not fit also. How do we help the utilities understand that this is the right technology? So what is the decision matrix that they should follow? Second is access to credit. Now, while there is a very vibrant startup ecosystem, access to credit remains a challenge. As I said, building ICT skills, none of the water utilities that I have come across, and perhaps the World Bank team would have seen in their research report, is that water utilities do not have ICT or IT, people with IT expertise in order to help them, and in-house expertise. They always have to rely on external consultants. This is what it is, and that's it from I hope I was within the time frame. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. As our colleague Siad Obaid is preparing for the presentation, I would like to remind our colleagues joining online that we have our excellent colleague Guilherme also collecting questions to be answered at the end of the panel. So please don't forget to send your questions that we are collecting them. So please, Mr. Siad. Siad, sorry.
This will cost you 2 minutes because I'm not Siad, I'm Ziad. Hello, everyone. Really, I'm happy for being here. Where could I can find my presentation?
Next.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, my name is Ziad. My name is Ziad Obaid again. My name is Ziad Obaid. I'm from Palestine. I'll be talking about digitalizing water infrastructure in Gaza Strip, an innovative solution. And as you are all aware, we will be talking about the water situation in Gaza, not the political situation. Otherwise, not 5 minutes or the rest of the day won't be enough. So I'm talking about the water situation. As you have seen, Gaza Strip experienced a prolonged intermittent water supply under conditions of water scarcity, drought, infrastructure failure, and leakage. According to the Palestinian Water Authority, the estimated amount of non-revenue water estimated of 37.6 of the total supplied water. As concerning the water quality or the groundwater quality in Gaza, we have two maps. The first one shows the chloride concentration, which is ranging between 250 and 2,000 and above. The second map showing the nitrate concentration, which is ranging between 50 and 300 and above. The methodology we have, the innovative solution relied on a big data analysis of water infrastructure networks and water quality data being dated since 1990. Two integrated systems were established. The first, water quality system based on groundwater quality in Gaza Strip to manage and predict future water quality. The second one, a water network system designed to control water losses and leakage. Directly, both of them connected to the second one is connected to pressure system. Both systems were built using ArcGIS and Python programming, which were seamlessly integrated with a daily operation. As you have seen here, the selected area for our pilot project, it's exactly in the northern part of Gaza City. The analysis and result water losses in the project area have been reduced by over 70%. This surpassing the goal of Gaza Water Vision 2030. The water quality meets the international standard, with future water quality projected reach 80% based on the latest data and population growth. The conclusion, limited resources of Gaza Strip increase the significant challenges to improve technical and managerial capacity, provide a new innovation system to increase the quality of water infrastructure. The project presents the importance of a new artificial intelligence system to improve the water system in countries with low resources. This system can be transferred and applied easily to many areas in Gaza. Also, training of using a new and smart solution can be achieved the same result. Thank you. I'm sorry, I'm just talking about Gaza Strip after the experience of China and then the experience of India. So thank you very much.
Thank you. And finally, we have our another presenter, Chloe Puli. So please, the floor is yours. This is your presentation, right?
Thank you, Carlos. Good afternoon. So as you saw, we are all a bit traumatized by this 5 minutes limit, so I'll try to keep it short. So I'm Chloe from the Aquaria Institute, and today I'm going to present the use of machine learning to predict microbial groundwater quality. And this work was funded by the Hilton Foundation and the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, and we published some preliminary results in ESNT in 2020. So first of all, why is it important to predict microbial groundwater quality? So as you know, the SDG 6.1 calls for universal and equitable access to safe and affordable drinking water for all by 2030. But if we want to ensure that we deliver safe water, we need water quality information. But this type of information is scarce, particularly for non-pipe water system in rural areas. And monitoring all these sources is really challenging due to limited resources and personal capacity. So one way to overcome this challenge would be to predict water quality. So some previous studies successfully predicted the level of arsenic and fluoride in groundwater at global scale. And also some studies focused on the microbial quality of surface waters, recreational waters, and groundwater. But this study usually focused on small geographical area and in developed country. So that's why we tried to see whether we could predict the groundwater microbial quality using different indicators like climate, geological, hydrological, or demographic parameters. We also wanted to see what were the most important predictors of microbial groundwater quality. And finally, as a next step, we are also interested to see how population growth and climate change can affect this water quality, but I'm going to focus on the first 2 points today. So we worked in Uganda as a proof of concept, and we got 4,000 georeference microbial groundwater quality data points spread over all the country. So we got data for Escherichia coli and total thermotolerant coliform that we grouped under the generic term of fecal indicator bacteria level, also called FIB. And we break down those water quality points into the 4 groups recommended by WHO based on the colony forming unit per 100 milliliters. So what does that mean? It means that if you have 0 CFU, there's no fecal contamination in the sources. 1 to 10, we consider that we have moderate contamination, 11 to 100 high contamination, and above 100 very high contamination. In terms of contamination repartition, you can see that we have 50% of our sources that are free from fecal contamination, while the other half is contaminated. So we have a pretty well-balanced data set, which is important when we want to do predictive model. So to predict, we need predictors. So we got 14 different predictors. We got environmental predictors, such as precipitation, temperature. We had socioeconomic predictors, such as population density or poverty. And we also have some wash predictors and hydrogeological predictors, like the access to wash services or the groundwater storage or depths to groundwater, for example. So we aggregated these predictors in different radii around each well that lead us to a total of 54 predictors. So we put these 54 predictors into a machine learning model. We use the AutoML from the Amazon Web Service SageMaker, and we use a binary outcome variable with a threshold of 1 CFU per 100 milliliters. So it means that we will be able to predict whether the source is contaminated, if it's above or equal to 1 CFU, or if the water is non-contaminated at 0 CFU. So in terms of performance, we were able to correctly predict whether a source was contaminated or not in 80% of the cases. We were also able to correctly predict 74% of the contaminated sources. That's what we call sensitivity. And we were able to correctly predict 84% of the non-contaminated sources. That's what we call the specificity. And in terms of predictors, our top three were the region, the daily precipitation, and the cattle density around the well. So we just quickly, we wanted to compare our results with the literature just to see how good or bad we did. And so the model that was used to predict arsenic and fluoride got an accuracy of 82%. We had 80%, so we can say that we successfully managed to predict microbial groundwater quality. And so as a next step, we would like to include some climate and population growth forecasts to see how these two parameters will impact the groundwater quality. So thank you for your attention.
Okay, so now we have a panel, right? And we have one panelist here. And we are saving the questions for later, sorry, after the panel. So please don't forget to send your questions. We have one of the panelists here in the room, and we have two other panelists joining us online. So I am going to introduce the panelist who is here now with us, and you already know him. Professor Gang Lui is a professor at Chinese Academy of Science, working in the field of green water processes and smart water solutions. He's joining us today on behalf of Mr. Yifei Zhang, sharing their latest progress and thoughts on China concept wastewater treatment plants. And we are happy that also the founder of this initiative, this concept, is also joining us here. So Mr. Gang, please join us on stage. And I am going to give the floor also to our colleague, Marco Agüero. He is water supply and sanitation specialist, and he's also leading the new IBNet, who is joining us online. He's going to moderate the panel. So please.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much, Carlos, for the presentation. And hi, gang. So first, allow me to introduce our two other distinguished panelists who are, as Carlos mentioned, connected online. We have Miss Susana Saranga Loforte. She's and I will ask her to please put on her camera. She's a chairperson of the Water Regulator Authority, a professional with background in water and environment management, with more than 30 years working experience in the water sector in Mozambique. And she has assumed the position of National Director for Water just recently, no? In 2017, she was appointed by the Council of Ministers to the position of President of the Water Regulator Authority, AURA, a body to mandate the regulation and supervision of water services in Mozambique. Second, we have Ms. Shola Mibilima. Welcome, Shola. Shola has over 15 years of experience in water supply and sanitation regulation. She's working with NAWASCO. NAWASCO is the regulator for water supply and sanitation services delivery in Zambia, and she has over 21 years of experience. No, so all of these distinguished panelists, I'm really honored. No, it's a really privilege for me to be moderating this segment. And I remember the first presentation, I think Gang mentioned, no, that digitalization is a multi-dimensional effort, but in the cloud, the word leadership appeared prominently, you know, and for sure, all of our distinguished panels are real leaders, you know, in their sectors, in their countries. Now, with that, let me go directly to the questions to our panelists. We have 3 questions. Each panelist will have 2-minute tops. So we're moving from 5 to 2 minutes. Sorry, we're a little bit more pressure, but 2-minute stops to answer each of these questions. So maybe let's start with the people in the room. Mr. Gang, what are the challenges you foresee to implement a data culture in the water and sanitation sector, or the water sector in global? Thank you.
Thanks, Marco. I think we all, or even everybody, is believe in data and believe in data culture. But I think now, for the moment, if we look into the water sector, from my point of view, the main challenge is how to show the power of data so that they accept the concept and they want to pay for it, and then it can continue and to be used in the company. Well, I think for this point, I want that is also the reason I want to show the slides of the concept wastewater treatment plant in China. I think these data or other technical innovation, we need application scenarios, and we need an ecosystem, and then to come back to the point of value of data and data culture. I think then we need to, based on the data and numbers, to have more informative and useful ideas, and then to come to the actionable plans to the company. So that's my part of answer, Marco.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Gang. It's important to know how to move from data to knowledge, and to knowledge to action, certainly. Miss Susan, what are the challenges you foresee to implement data culture in the water sector?
Yes, thank you very much. Before I answer the question, let me quickly introduce our institution. We are a water regulatory authority here in Mozambique. We are a public institute that deals with water supply and sanitation service, and we have more than 20 years. And why I'm bringing this introduction is because one of our main issues, our main mandates, is to issue recommendations to the government and also disseminate information on the performance of the water sector. That's why for us, these questions or these issues of data collection, it's very important. Going straightly to your questions, the challenge lies mainly on the prioritization and allocation of the necessary resources. I'm saying resources regarding human resources, specialized resources, and also things like equipment and so on for the collection of data, and also to have access access to the information in a timely manner. Today, unfortunately, there is still a strong pressure to build infrastructures regarding water supply and sanitation, but we are not giving too much, or we are not doing too much investment in data collection. Another challenge that I see is the harmonization of concepts. Berto was talking about the KPIs. Yes, we think that harmonization of these concepts, it's something very important, and also the harmonization of the different data management platforms used by different actors in the water sector. And finally, another challenge that we see is the mobilization of the dedicated specialized technicians for data collection, processing, and analysis of this data, and also dissemination of results. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Susana. Thank you very much. Very good insights. As I think, and also correlate with what Jean-Martin mentioned, and not many utilities are really investing or have a budget line, for IT or for data collection, So HR equipment and to dedicate efforts for the collection and curation of data is important, and of course, and having that data access to everyone is key. All right, thank you, Susana. Let's move to our third panelist, Shola. What are the challenges you foresee to implement data culture in the water sector? Thank you.
Thank you very much. So coming from the regulator in Zambia, which is NWASCO, as was already introduced, we've been operating for the past 23 years, and obviously during that period, we've had some level of interaction with service providers, and we've also had our fair share of issues around data and the whole data management culture. So maybe just going straight into the issues. For us, I think the biggest challenge is data governance. Now, what you realize, especially from our point of view here in Zambia, is that the level where we've reached, utilities do have some form of data. They do have some, systems here and there that they can use to collect the data. But the governance aspect, and when I say governance, what I'm talking about basically is the who is collecting the data, how are they doing it, when are they collecting the data, how credible is that data that they are collecting? I think those are the issues. And within there, you get issues around, is this data integrated? So if one entity collects it, am I able to access it and also use it to make decisions? We also get issues of fragmentation. So some institutions would have certain pieces of information while others don't have. And depending on who you ask, you might find that this data exists or it doesn't exist. And then the issue of traceability is also
I think maybe we lost her.
So another challenge that you're trying to trace back and say, how did we get this information? You find that you can't trace it. And of course, my colleagues have already mentioned the type of data that is collected. Is it conclusive data? Do we have all the data that we need to be able to make those decisions? And obviously the finances, the resources in terms of human, and the systems themselves. We don't have robust systems that can allow for analytics to be done, and also visualization in some instances of some of this data that is collected. So basically that, I'll end there. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Shola. Definitely data governance is really important. And I think also Gustavo referenced that. No, it's not only IT systems, it's the governance around that. But you're to the point, it's not only collecting data, but having credible data. Also making relation with the point of Susana, the harmonization, integrated systems, and avoid the fragmentation. Of course, traceability is of utmost importance. So thank you very much to all the panelists for this first round of questions. Now let's get into maybe more specific part of the panel. The second question, and from your organization's perspective, from the institutions you represent or your sector, how can we effectively turn data into action and turn data into positive results in performance that results in good performance for water supply and sanitation service providers? So I'll start with Gan, and over to you.
Yeah, thanks, Marco. Here, I want to emphasize that I'm here representing Mr. Yifei Zhang, the CEO of China Concept Wastewater Treatment Plant. And from our perspective, I can come back to my first point. I think the challenge of data culture is that we can show the power to our service provider and to our customer. And here, when we think about how we can turn data into actionable plan or strategy and to have positive results, I think the critical or essential part of the game is to have the understanding of mechanism and then put this understanding into our operation. For example, we have mountains of data now because of the development of sensors and the platforms and the easy use of data transformation. Well, I think, but for the understanding, we are still very limited. So how to put all those numbers together and get into what happens in our water flow? And to share one of the example and come back to my presentation at the very beginning of this session, is we use the sensors combined with easy use model to implement in our treatment plant. And then we can control the phosphate removal very well. So the efficiency is higher, but then the chemicals we used is 30% lower than the regular operation. I think this is a very good point that we can show to the sector. So how we can use the data, implement the data technology into our treatment stream and achieve positive results, good performance, and then let the environment also, the cost part also benefit from what we can achieve. Marco, that's my answer.
Thank you very much, again. Very, very clear, very concise. The power of the information, of the data. No, I think that's really important. And we saw not only the example in China, we also saw our different panelists or representatives of the different experiences in India and Palestine, and you yourself in China, and of course the groundwater quality monitoring. No, those are also examples, as you say, no, moving from data to action, combining data with technology and generating this information for decision making. Perfect. Thank you very much again. Now, Susanna, how can we effectively turn data into action and have those turn into positive results to improve performance in water and sanitation utilities? Over to you.
Thank you, Michael. From our perspective, the data should be analyzed, processed, documented, and disclosed in a form of report. These reports should be able to serve as a basis for decision making to improve the quality of service provided by the regulated entities. The Aura, we are developing a centralized and integrated data collection system for water supply and sanitation systems that must be compatible with IBNet benchmarking platform, aiming not only to support operational management, but also for strategic management and policy formulation. The referred platform is called AuraNet and is conceived for data collection of regulated entities and will automatically generate key performance indicators for the reporting of Aura to IBNet and ESAWAS. AuraNet will also be able to collect data from customers, from local regulatory agents, and from regulatory commissions as well, to generate reports based on key performance indicators. At the same time, we, as the national regulator, we are developing a platform for the management of appeals complaints from our customers. In addition to monitoring and reporting on the water supply and sanitation services, it is expected that this technology resource will inform the action and decision making of the managers and the interaction with customers, but above all, allow the regulator to evaluate and provide information to the government to our partners and to the public in general on the impact on the measures that taken to ensure the availability of service to customers. Thank you, Marco.
Thank you very much, Susana. Right to the point. No, it's not information is to disseminate, to put it out there. No, it's not only for accountability purposes, also for decision making, as you mentioned, interaction of customers. I like the way you linked it to IBNet and our digitalization efforts as well. How can we make AudaNet compatible and integrate all of these systems for policy formulation, which is key to develop the sector. Thank you very much, Susana. Let's go to Chola. Chola, how can we effectively turn data into action and turn this action to positive results to improve performance in the water sector? Over to you, Chola.
Thank you, Marco. Yeah, so from our point of view as NOASCO, I think the key thing that we need to look at is to first ask what data, because most of the times people discuss data, but when you sit around the table, you realize you have different understanding of what this data should be. So I think the first thing is to agree on which one is this data that is critical for everybody in order to move the sector forward. So once we agree on the critical, KPIs that need to be monitored and, tracked over time, then I think we need to make sure that we have a robust system that can assist us to collect this information. In our case, as NOASCO, we have what we call the NOASCO information system, where we collect information from the regulated entities, but at the decision-making level. And when I say the decision-making level, I mean at the government level, we also need to find a way of making sure that this information reaches them. So we have also been instrumental in spearheading what we're calling an integrated management information system that will basically pull information from different areas. Now, when I mentioned that, what sort of data are we talking about? We have this tendency in the sector to just focus on water and sanitation and perhaps hygiene data. But then you realize that there's other pieces of data that will be relevant for us as we strive to make decisions for performance improvement. For example, you would look at issues around climate change. So when you start to develop systems to collect data, you have to have a mechanism of putting in other relevant information that may not directly be WASH, but have an impact in what you are going to do in terms of utilization of that information. Then the other thing, obviously, is how do we package this information? Now, decisions are made at different levels. As regulators, yes, we do produce reports that will reflect how these utilities are performing, and perhaps between us and them, that data is understood. But what about the politician out there? The government officials, do they actually understand? Because sometimes there's this tendency to package it in a very technical manner. So then we need to see how we can package information differently for different targeted stakeholders. And I think that can help, because the same information that we would package in these KPIs, reports, for example, if you look at IBNet and how all those analyses take place, you realize that for a politician, they'll probably not get anything. So you need to now pick up that information, package it in a manner that will be understood by somebody who's making policies, who's making legislation, so that you're able to get results out of that. And obviously, accessibility is an issue. So we can be sitting here talking about information. Do the people that need to access that information able to access it? And that's why, in our case, we're trying to make sure that these systems that we have for data collection, we have a public viewing portal where people can at least view information that is required for them to also plan, make decisions, and also implement certain things. So I think all that for me is important, and more so the environment, the enabling environment. We need to create that enabling environment if we want to make sure that there's change. So just throwing information out there without the lobbying and making sure that you create the environment for people to accept the information and utilize it. Even between the regulators and regulated, you realize that sometimes you give the information out there and maybe they don't accept that this is what their performance looks like. So we need to do a lot also in creating that environment that is able to accept information, data, and be able to utilize it for performance improvement and not to fight the information. I think I'll end there, Marco. Thank you.
Thank you. And with that, I think I will close. Not to fight information. There are other pieces of data that we need to consider, and integration of our systems is a crucial importance. So I think in the interest of time, I will stop here for now, and open the mic to questions. Maybe one question on the floor and one question on online. Is that okay, Carlos?
Sure. You want to ask something to your colleagues who has presented as well, no? You? Okay, please.
Thank you very much. I'm Jessica Borges. I'm a junior rapporteur and also working for Ricardo in Australia. This is a general question, so I don't know really who's going to take it, but like, how do we link all the dots of what we have heard this afternoon? So we heard from research, we heard from like the water treatment plant. How do we really connect all of these to take action into getting into the digital? Like, how do we do this? That's my question. I don't know who's going to take it.
Good, thank you.
Gang, you want to take this? Since you are in the room.
I want to say it's a difficult question.
Yeah.
But I can give some reflects from my side. Also, I got this feeling from yesterday. So people are talking it piece by piece. So we have a big water and all kinds of backgrounds, and anything can be digital, and everything can be smart. Well, then when you want to really combine everything together, it's very hard. So that's my point of action, is to have application scenarios. So you should have something that targeted and very clear, and to put it under the focus. So like if we think about wastewater treatment, the whole stream and the sensors data model, and then you can have a really nice case to show to the world.
Thank you. Thank you, Gang.
Thank you, Marco. We have
yes,
one other question here, please.
Okay.
Very quickly.
Question to the World Bank team. I just noticed in the IBNet, the new version, mainly the indicators, they are focusing on the side of the planning and customer satisfaction, that purpose, but I couldn't see if the relevancy of the operational of performance, and specifically there is no any indicators for wastewater treatment plant performance or water treatment plant performance.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. I think I can take this one on IBNet on behalf of Berta. No, these are 15 core. The IBNet shows today 15 core indicators, which are the most commonly used indicators by regulators around the world after an assessment we provided. But it's the first version of the new IBNet. We are considering expanding some indicators, including indicators regarding sanitation. We have certain indicators today, very basic one, wastewater coverage and sanitation coverage, but we are including already exploring, and asking the utilities what kind of indicators regarding sanitation would they like to see there. Remember, for us is if it makes sense for the utility to collect it, to as our panelists mentioned, it's not only collection but also transforming that data into knowledge, and the knowledge into decision making. If that chain of thinking makes sense to the utility, collecting that data, well, for sure that will be considered in the new IBNet as we go along. This is the first version. We will have further releases as we go along. Thank you, Carlos.
Super. Thank you, Marco. And maybe we can have one question online. I think you have record of it.
Yes, here's a question. What's the strategy to maintain data equity to ensure equal data coverage? So I will hand this over, maybe Susana and Shola, 1 minute if you want your final reflections on what's the strategy to maintain this data equity and to ensure the equal data of coverage. 1 minute, please, your reflections to finalize the panel. Thank you. Let's start with Susana and then Chola.
Yeah, yes, Mark. What I would say at this point in time is that the adoption and use of interactive data collection and management platforms should continue to be promoted by all the actors, World Bank, the investors, the government, and so on. That's the only way we can really catch up with this. Thank you.
Thank you, Susana. Shola, over to you.
I think for me, the issue would be to understand the data needs of different stakeholders and then devise a mechanism where you have data collection systems, tools that will focus on the data needs of the different stakeholders, and then also to package it and relay it to the different stakeholders in a manner which would be usable for them. So yeah, I think it's a matter of just really making sure that we understand what are the data needs for the different stakeholders and how that can then be collected and packaged for their use.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Shola. So I just want to ask everyone for a round of applause for our distinguished panelists, Gang, Shola, and Susana. Thank you very much for your insights. Very useful, and it was an honor serving as your moderator. Carlos, over to you.
Thanks, Marco. I have prepared my one last sentence, although Marco didn't ask.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Yeah. Sorry, again. Yes.
Yeah. We always say that we are planting seeds for digital water, but in China concept wastewater treatment plant, we are growing it up above ground, and we are showing it to the world, and we are not hesitate to lead this wave worldwide. And here, on behalf of Yifei Zhang and our founder and a critical designer, Professor Qu, I'd like to send this invitation to you. You are welcome to come to China, Yixing, and to visit us. We have tank coffee made of our produced water. We have beer there. So looking forward to meeting you there in China. Yixing.
All right.
Thank you.
Gang, thank you. So a round of applause again for Gang, Chola, and Suzanne. Thank you very much, Gang, and we'll receive your invitation. Hope to see you soon. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, Marco. Thank you to the panelists. And okay, so last but not least, now we have here a QR code. No, please help us to respond in one word. What do you think about the topic? And I would like to give the floor to Gustavo simply for the closing remarks. Gustavo, please. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Carlos, and to the speakers here and online and the participants. And throughout the discussions today, we have seen the potential of the digital revolution to reshape water management practices, driving innovations and efficiency across the sector. From the enlightening keynote presentations by Jean-Martin Brol and Berta Macheve, to the thought-provoking presentations by Abhishek, Zaid, did I say it right? Zaid, and Chloe, we witnessed the tangible impact of digital solutions on water utilities. The panel discussion, enriched by the perspectives of Yifei Zhang and Susana Laforte, has taken us beyond theory, allowing us to hear directly from utilities and water authorities and regulators in this case. The real-world examples and shared challenges have provided us with a comprehensive understanding of the current landscape. It is critical that we continue our collective efforts building bridges between digital innovators, technology solution providers, water utilities, policymakers, and communities. Through collaboration and knowledge sharing, we can overcome challenges, bridge gaps, and empower one another to pioneer sustainable water solutions, ensuring that the vision of universal access becomes a reality. Before I bid you farewell, I extend my gratitude to the entire SIWI team and the partners in the co-conveners in organizing this seminar and the sessions. To the speakers again, the shared commitment to harnessing the digital revolution for water innovation serves as a testament to our determination to accomplish our mission, which is a water-secure world for all. I would like to remind you about the third session of this seminar that will happen tomorrow in room C4 between 11 a.m. and 12:30, chaired by GSMA and Ventic Technologies, with speakers from the Asian Development Bank, ADB, Machine H2O, talking about how to finance digital solutions and foster partnerships. Thank you very much. Good afternoon and see you tomorrow.